Hey guys, Tech Agent here. Today we have the Aiwa HP-500 planar magnetic headphone. This is a fairly rare headphone that you don't really see nowadays that often because it was launched back in the 70s, to be specific, 1977, which is a long time to be honest uh, for a headphone. I I bought these on a whim, along with a couple more vintage headphones that I will feature on the channel soon. But this was the interesting one because I really like the look of it, um, and it's one of the early examples of the orthodynamic uh, fever, I think, in Japan, which was later killed in the late 80s and 90s. Uh, but but this really started the orthodynamic revolution. For example, in that time period, until, well, you know, we'll come to that. But let's start from the design. I really like the design. I think it looks amazing. Yeah, it's not exactly very Japanese. It's got that European style to it, especially in the cups. The grill reminds me a lot of the DT880. You know what? One second. Let me show you what I'm talking about in a second. As you can see, the grill reminds me. The grill reminds me of the DT880. This part reminds me of the K240, which is anyway. Uh, Anyway, you get my point. The design has some similarities to the European counterparts, and obviously the DT880 did not come until the 80s. So this is an older version compared to the 880. So I really like the design. It's not very Japanese. There are some Japanese bits, like the headband is very Japanese. The assembly of the bail part is very Japanese as well. So it's got that kind of a mixture of designs, and that is why I really like the design of it. It's quite elegant. I really like it. Um, how I got this headphone is a bit interesting. The story. I opened these up because they were completely destroyed. You can see the pictures of how I got this. It was wrecked. Had to restore them completely. Opened these up. Found out one driver. It's completely working. I was really happy. I was like, yeah, this is great. Opened up the different housing, and I found a dynamic headphone inside. Uh, it's pretty simple to speculate what really happened. Some little shit at some point might have opened the housing up, thinking that he could fix it, and then that piece of shit thought he would fix it. So he opened the entire assembly, broke it, basically just scraped the magnets from the housing, and destroyed the perfectly working transducer. So, and then he put a 8 ohm cheap microphone dynamic transducer inside, slapped it, soldered it. That's it. That's all they did. So one driver is not working. I have put them in phase, but they are not meant to be for music listening. Um, but that's fine. I didn't pay anything for it. Almost negligible amount of money I paid, so it's fine. Um, I did put a removable system, just for the sake of it. I also recabled it completely because the stock wires were crap. 1977 copper is not good. Yeah, it's fine. It was falling apart. The overall shape is okay. It's not bad, but it's not great either. It's fine. Um, Now, to the orthodynamic history, let's talk about that because this is something I need to talk about. See, the Japanese, uh, they kind of started the orthodynamic revolution in the 70s, uh, maybe early 70s, who knows, and it continued till the 90s, until all Japanese companies like Pioneer and Sansui and Aiwa and all these guys were like, hey, we are getting the fuck out of here, because if we continue doing this, we're gonna go out of business, uh, because the German and the European competitors were having just solid options, and even Japanese owned stacks, electrostatic stuff, was really dominating the entire industry. These stacks are Lambda series and stuff, which people, I don't know what to say about that. I have no comment on that, but but Stax was dominating the market along with Sennheiser and Biodynamic and AKG with their dynamic system. So these Fostex and these Japanese companies, they were like, we're getting the fuck out of here, because if they continue doing that, they're going to be out of business in the headphone part. So this happened in the 90s and the late 80s, and most companies like bailed, except Fostex, who was the OEM, the orthodynamic driver inside, which Aiwa calls Omni Dynamic Transduction System, whatever the fuck that means, is basically a planar driver, and it was jointly manufactured with Fostex, because Fostex was like the main orthodynamic manufacturer in that time, and they supplied everything to these companies, even Sony. But Sony did not have any orthodynamics. I think I don't think Sony did orthodynamics. So Fostex was like the exclusive OEM. So they are still in business, because if they quit, they would be out of business, because planar manufacturing was like the only exclusive headphone thing they did back in the day. The dynamic systems, they had nothing. That came until like the 2010 or something, when the TH-600 and stuff came. Fostex was exclusive orthodynamic. The T50RP continued. That is why Fostex really didn't die. They continued making the old headphones, and until the modding community started modding the T50RP and stuff. So Fostex was very lucky that due to the resurgence of technology by the Chinese guy, what's up, Biang, who hates Sennheiser. So he started making electrostatic stuff, and then he's like, well, I gotta get the fuck out of here, because if I start making Sennheiser would sue me. So he started making planars, which really didn't have any patents and stuff. So he started manufacturing planars, and then Odyssey came on board, and that happened. So if you think about this headphone is pretty significant, because it is a very early example of planar revolution, and how things have changed nowadays, and how sad it is that I just want to say that just keep in mind that those Japanese engineers, even though I don't like Japanese engineers, you guys know me, I don't like any Japanese headphones or anything like that. Japanese engineers at that time were much smarter than the Chinese and American and Indian people are doing on making planar headphones. I'm just saying, it's going to be offensive to a lot of people, but just keep in mind that those Japanese engineers were much smarter than current people. If they discontinue the technology, they know what they're doing. They're quite aware of the limitations of the technology and what it really represents. So before you start praising planars as the greatest headphone system ever, just keep in mind that this was a technology that the people who invented bailed on 20 years ago, and there was a resurgence by a Chinese guy. I'm just saying. Shots fired. That's it. Take it easy. Have a good one. Aiwa HP-500. More vintage headphones coming soon. I'll see you guys next time. It's a lot of videos. Alright.